Welcome to Fantasy Football Today. Dynasty Championship winners. Congratulations. We've got Dan Schneier. Dan's back on FFT Dynasty. Dan, you haven't been here for a while, and I know why. It's because you're so busy with Beyond the Box Score. So tell everybody what's been going on with Beyond the Box Score and what's coming up.
Yeah, so essentially that's been it. It's been sad to not be on here. I loved my appearances in FFT Dynasty. The good news is I plan to make them again regularly when my favorite time to talk Dynasty is, which is around the draft and free agency, but or later in the year. But yeah, Beyond the Box Score has been amazing. We're really excited about our first year, our growth. And I think the thing that excites me the most about Beyond the Box Score year one is that we built a community and they're lasting and they're coming back to us. And it's been fun to do that. And I know you probably have just experienced that through the years with FFT Dynasty. It's the same kind of trajectory, right? You start it up, you don't really know what's going to happen, and you kind of build that community out of like-minded people who are obsessed with football. And so Beyond the Box Score, for those who don't know, is my show with Jacob Gibbs. We were doing 3 times per week, actually 4 times per week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. During the regular season, we're planning to do a lot of fun stuff in the off season around the rookies. It's essentially a deep dive into a combination of 2 things: advanced stats, advanced metrics, and film analysis. So if you like that kind of stuff and you're into the nitty gritty of fantasy, check us out. You can find us on the YouTube page, the FFT YouTube page. We also have our own podcast feed, which you can find on Spotify and iTunes. So thank you for giving me the platform to talk a little bit about it.
And if you don't realize how much work Dan and Jacob are doing, he says 4 times a week. That's 24 hours of podcasting.
They're long shows. These are very long shows.
Every show is 6 hours. So that's a lot of podcasting. No, it's great stuff. Somebody in the chat said it's a great combo for Dynasty. If only Jacob were here. Jacob will be here plenty in the off season. I know he also is always enthusiastic about coming on this show. I think for the most part, not entirely, but people who really, really love fantasy football have a special place in their heart for Dynasty.
Yeah.
And I know Dan I went and checked. Dan is a champion. I know you probably won multiple leagues. I saw that you won the Super Flex League. I'm a champion. I won a few leagues, but most importantly, I won my FSGA Experts League. So I get a ring and I get an invite to the Champions League next year. So that's fantastic. But there is a guy who had a better year than either one of us, a supporter of St. Jude, who really just had, like, I think it's a dream year. Ryan Van Hoven was announced this morning by Adam Azer as the winner of the FFT Open. So, like,
oh wow,
that's fantastic. Great job there. That's not all. Like, this is like an infomercial. Oh wait, there's more. He also won the inaugural season of the FFT Dynasty Super Flex League. So he won this. He won the FFT Open. He won the FFT Dynasty Super Flex League. He was a supporter of St. Jude. I might have Ryan on the show this offseason just to talk about and like didn't win it by a little bit. Put up a season high 201 fantasy points in the championship game.
This wasn't in the show rundown, Heath. This wasn't in the show. I didn't know I had to relive my FFT Dynasty Superflex inaugural season beatdown in the championship game. I was in 5 finals. I had a very good year, but that was the one that I looked on Sunday, Heath, very early, saw the projection. I was like, I have no chance to win this matchup. And he still got CMC to go later in the game, later in the day. So good job, Ryan. Absolutely crushed me. It was fun to make it to your Dynasty League finals in the inaugural season, Heath. I kind of had a weird draft strategy that was in between building for the future and winning now when I made the decision to draft Barkley, which was a big one in that strategy. We didn't even have that good of a year, by the way, for me in the win now strategy. But other guys carried me. I drafted Michael Wilson, which was huge. But ran out of gas and got absolutely hammered by Ryan.
Just real quick, and I wasn't trying to do this to rub it into you. Yeah, I was trying to do it to celebrate Ryan, who just absolutely cooked this year. But I have always said some people don't want to talk trash in the middle of the season because then it hurts more when you inevitably lose. And I've always said, I like to talk trash when the opportunity presents itself because it might disappear before the season's over. So this was a league where you talked quite a bit of trash to me after Kyle Pitts scored 700 points and knocked me out of the playoffs. And the Baked Burger Dynasty League, you did name your team greatest startup draft ever.
Yeah.
And I don't think you've won that league yet.
No. So that league, I was 327 points ahead of second place in the regular season.
He knows the
Lost in the
exact
first round.
number, folks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lost in first round. Gave Adam a lot of crap. I've never seen anybody run a worse league than him as commissioner of that league. I'm joking, guys. Let me be clear. I love Adam, but I like to give him crap. I like to pretend he has problems. He's had a lot of issues running that league, but one of them is who doesn't reward first in points or the regular season with any part of the prize pool. I mean, come on, Adam. We got to get up to speed. But yeah, you brought up my two worst leagues, Heath, but I will say this. You had the best response ever to trash talk. When we played in the first round of your FFT Dynasty Superflex inaugural season, and I beat you with the Kyle Pitts, your response to me trash talking was just silence, just the cold shoulder. It reminded me like when I was a kid and I did something wrong and my dad, he would never get mad. He would just be disappointed and he would just ignore me, and it'd be the worst feeling ever. Like, I want somebody respond. Heath, respond. Tell me my trash talk's working. So I didn't even get to you with my trash talk. So it was basically empty trash talk.
So as you can probably tell at this point, it's Dan's Dynasty Take Day on FFT Dynasty. Yeah. We'll talk Malik Willis. We'll talk the top 5 tight ends, Marvin Harrison Jr., and much more. But of course, we have to start with the Giants. Where else would we start? We're going to play a little game after the break called What's the Floor, What's the Ceiling for some unproven quarterbacks. And Dan would probably not like me putting Jaxson Dart in the unproven group. That's so fair. I put him at the top of the show before the break. What's the Dynasty floor and the Dynasty ceiling for Jaxson Dart?
So what's really interesting about Jaxson Dart as we move forward, and I saw yesterday we did, FFT did, Jamie wants us to send in our early rankings for 2026. And I watched everyone. Jacob had Dart really high. Jacob had him all the way up, I think, at QB6 for next year. What's interesting to me is after he returned from the concussion, there was the question of, is this going to change how the Giants coach? Somebody from up top in the Giants organization to come down and be like, we got to let this kid, we got to coach this kid different. We got to take some things that he's doing and take them away. The answer is no. He's still running. He ran for touchdowns last week against the Raiders. They call more design runs in the red zone. They did the game came back. So this is just a part of his game. He is a running quarterback. They're not going to take that away. He said as much in the post-game pressers, like, I know you guys keep asking me questions. The media keeps making up stories in New York, but this is my game. It's been my game since high school, where he played 3 years, Heath, in a wing T offense in high school, and he credits his running ability to playing in that offense. And I've broken out a lot of tape on Dart this year, dating back to the Bears game, which I thought was the best game before the concussion. And the touchdown run he had in that game, that 26-yarder, he looks like a running back with his vision. He sets up the safety, gets him to jump into the wrong gap, and then cuts back and houses it for 26. So his rushing upside gives him a higher floor and a higher ceiling. You talk about this all the time when you talk about quarterbacks in fantasy, Heath. I think you've been onto this for years. So as we move forward and we know he's that kind of quarterback and we know he gets Malik Nabers back next year, a player he hasn't played with at all, it's hard to not be excited about what he could potentially do, because I know the Giants believe in him and I know the Giants are going to move forward with him. They won't be drafting a quarterback. It's just following the team long enough, you can know when to read the tea leaves. So I would say his ceiling could be a top 6 quarterback in fantasy. As far as his floor, I'd say it's probably more in like the quarterback 12 to 14 range.
That's really high. So I was thinking that from a dynasty perspective.
Yeah.
And I'll do this to you a lot throughout the show, but I've got 4 this week. I think I mentioned it last week, but by Thursday, we should have my updated 2026 dynasty rankings for all the positions. And I'm in that process right now, and Dan's going to help me through it. So 4 guys that I have ranked in the same tier, right around QB 12 in dynasty: Justin Herbert, Jaxson Dart, Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy. Where's Dart belong in that group?
Well, wow, that's tough. I think I still have to put him behind those quarterbacks. Lawrence with Liam Cohen is just skyrocketing for me. Let's start with that. So I'll start there. Purdy signed in the Shanahan system. We're printing points here.
And like, I want to just, because I've been the high guy on Purdy for a while, and I just want to say, like, if the last couple of games, especially this last week with no Kittle and no Trent, if it's not just the Shanahan system.
Oh, please. Anyone who says that is not
he's
watching.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the bottom of that group would make Jaxson Dart QB 12 in Dynasty. So that probably sounds about right. Let's get to Giants question number 2. Is this a career year for Wandale Robinson, or is he just getting started?
So Wandale Robinson, I looked at this yesterday. I thought it was super interesting. has the exact same number of targets as last season and the one fewer catch. I think it's either one more or one fewer catch. It's like 140 and 93 and 140 and 94. And yet he's averaging 10.7 yards per reception versus like 7.1 last season. So you ask why? Why is it the case? And I want to say it's him taking a jump forward. I want to say it's the Giants figuring out how to use him or a quarterback upgrade. But the reality is it's really two games. It's the Dallas Cowboys game in week 2 when Russell Wilson was the starter. And it's the week whatever game against Detroit and against the Lions in Detroit when Jameis Winston was the starter. You take those 2 games out of Wandale's season, and it looks a lot like or worse than last year. So personally, I'm not sold on him turning a corner. Also, he's a free agent, and the Giants are in a situation where I'm not so sure they're going to re-sign him, given that they spent stupidly on Darius Slayton last year. And they're likely going to be in position to draft a receiver with their first-round pick because it's not a great draft class outside of those top players at receiver. I don't know exactly where they can go. Edge, there's some great edges. They can't draft edge again. So his future remains murky. Maybe a change of like scenery is better for him. I don't know, but I don't envision him as a player given his limitations. Remember, he entered the NFL with a 0 percentile catch radius. I'm talking 0, Heath. 5'8", the shortest arms you'll ever see, some of the smallest hands. So it's limited his game to a large degree. So I would say we've kind of seen who Wandale Robinson is.
I do like the fact that he had a 0 percentile catch radius, and he has a 69% career catch rate.
Yeah, he's not great.
He catches everything.
I know.
Question number 3, and Azer expressed a little bit of concern about this last week. So I'll just ask, what do you expect from Malik Nabers next year?
Yeah, right. Again, we were doing these 2026 rankings. It's a fun exercise that Jamie has us do, and I was trying to figure out where to slot Nabers in. Came in pretty high for me. I expect a big season out of him. The one concern I would have is, well, the 2 concerns I'd have are, it's not a perfect history for players returning from an ACL. And Nabers also had to wait a while for his surgery. And this is not abnormal. Don't like get scared or nervous if you're hearing this on the show. This happens a lot. They're swelling and the players wait. But it's not like from a timeline standpoint, it will push, I think, into training camp, and we'll see what happens on that front. But the bigger concern for me from a fantasy standpoint, dynasty standpoint, is that Dable offense was like, I watched so much tape of it last year. It was so designed to get Nabers the ball. That's part of the reason he was such a phenomenal fantasy asset last year. It's the target volume, and it's the design of the offense. Giants have a new coach. We don't know who it's going to be yet, but they're searching. They're hoping. They're interviewing people from what I've heard. So
I heard Matt Nagy's a candidate.
I've heard that too. Please don't bring that up on the show right now. We were having such a good time.
Let's take our first break. When we get back, we'll get to Dan's Dynasty Takes.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
So I want to go through these, Dan. I've heard from the mailbag that, and the time that you filled in for me. Thank you very much. I was coaching basketball, and you filled in for me on a Sunday morning, answering questions. And all the guys said that you are just exceptional at rapid fire. Okay. So we're going to do a round of, they said you're just really good at it. You get through a lot of guys. Really
fast. I don't talk a lot. I'm good at brevity. Yeah.
Here's the ceiling floor discussion for these unproven quarterbacks. And we can be real short on each of them. Cam Ward.
Ceiling, top 14. Floor, top 16.
Okay. So he is going to be right around 18th in my dynasty rankings. Going into 2026, 17, it looks like. The problem in evaluating that is there's no other young quarterbacks around him. He's right in that group of all the older guys who will probably be better next year, but may only play a couple more years. So mid QB2, Dan feels for Cam Ward. JJ McCarthy, ceiling and floor.
Ceiling, top 15, floor, 38, 40. I don't know. Okay. I mean, Flory just doesn't play a lot from this point on at quarterback.
But you think his ceiling is similar to Cam Ward's?
Yeah. If it clicks for him, he's in an amazing spot.
He is in an amazing spot. Ward's made some amazing throws, different types of quarterbacks.
True.
similar ceiling floor, well, much lower floor for McCarthy. A guy that you loved coming into this season in his rookie year has played admirably. I'm not going to go with very well, but admirably in the second half. And I think it's ridiculous that we're talking about him as a rookie of the year. Tyler Shuck, ceiling and floor.
Yeah, I mean, look,
you can't start 8 games and throw 9 pass touchdowns and be the rookie of the year.
I completely agree, and I'm so frustrated by it because Jaxson Dart has much better numbers than Tyler Shuck, and it's not even close. And Jaxson Dart has played 7 playoff teams out of his 11 starts. It makes no sense why he's not even considered. He's plus 2,200, and Shuck is the favorite. I don't care if you don't want to put either in the rookie of the year running. That's fine for me, but it's sickening to the comparison that's gone down. With that said, I got a chance to watch Tyler Shuck tape for Beyond the Box Score 2 weeks ago. It wasn't this past game. It's the Titans. It was the one against the Jets. My God, was he cooking on film? Like, footwork was phenomenal. The timing was phenomenal. Anticipation with Olave was phenomenal. I was surprised by a few things. One, the velocity they threw with the ball placement, and mostly the timing and how in sync he was with Kellen Moore's offense. Now, I learned a long time ago, because at first I was like, when Kellen Moore went through his time with the Chargers, I was like, wait a second, is Kellen Moore a fake sharp? Because I really didn't like his time with Herbert. Then he went to the Eagles, and I was like, okay, no, wait. He took this, and you know how I feel about it.
Yeah. You
don't have to get into that, but I was like, wow, he was able to generate offense with this
worst dynasty of all time.
He was able to generate off, and then he left the Eagles, and they collapsed, and he came to the Saints, and I just think he's a phenomenal coach, which helps a lot for Shuck. So ceiling for Shuck for me, not a lot of rushing upside, though he does run sometimes. Maybe like, and he's 26. Let's be clear. Maybe QB 14. Floor is probably down in the 28-30 range.
Okay, so you think a higher floor than McCarthy, similar upside for those 3 guys. Michael Penix.
No, I was never Penix guy coming out. He's also old like Shuck. Second ACL of his career, I think, or it might have been the same knee or a different knee. Not sure. Didn't have ceiling doesn't run. Ceiling is 18, 19 maybe. Floor is down at QB 40.
And he is behind Tyler Shuck for me in the rankings. I'm just going in the order of my rankings. Adam was pretty encouraged by what he saw from Quinn Ewers. I don't think Quinn Ewers is actually going to be a starting quarterback next year. Does he have the upside to potentially start for multiple years?
He does. I haven't watched his tape yet, so I want to make that clear. This is my least confident feel. But from what I watched at Texas, there was always upside, his ability to throw off platform, his quick release. And I have read from some guys who know football more than me that he is a really good fit for McDaniel and what he likes to do offensively. Problem being, we don't know for sure McDaniel's going to be back. We also don't know for sure if Ewers will be given any chance to start. He has no rushing upside, so I'm more along the lines of you. I don't have much faith in him. Would rank him really low.
A guy who's been around a few more years and somehow is still only like 6 months older than Tyler Shuck. But Malik Willis, I almost am getting some Brock Purdy vibes in terms of the response to his play over the last 2 years, because he's basically played 4 games in the last 2 years. And he's just been awesome. Like extremely awesome.
Yeah.
And everyone just says, well, yeah, but it's LaFleur. I've heard a lot of Dolphins fans who don't want to start Quinn Ewers next year. They want to start Malik Willis.
Ooh, I
his
love
ceiling,
that match.
Is his ceiling the highest of this group?
Easily the highest of this group. When you consider dynasty, when you consider fantasy being so weighted towards the quarterbacks who can run the way that Malik Willis can run and has put on tape. And then you look at it and you're like, wait a second, it's not just a running. Like, he's diming balls up, receivers up down the field, throwing in outbreaking routes with anticipation into soft spots in zone, throwing down the field with accuracy. Like, he's kind of has a profile from fantasy that's looks like upside wise if he did match up with a Mike McDaniel, like you mentioned, which he is a free agent, by the way, Malik Willis. Yep. So he can go wherever he wants. It's exciting. Like, I wonder, because I did like him a lot coming out of Liberty, and that first season with Titans was so bad, everyone was kind of just like, Malik Willis is a bust. And this is a great example of, like, give somebody time to actually learn with a competent team and a competent coach. And it would be a similar scheme. Like, it's clear that he's, like, really locked in and clicked in with what LaFleur teaches and how he teaches that game. It's the same coaching tree. So you're saying if he goes to Miami, let's do that. If he goes to Miami, I think his ceiling for Dynasty, wow. if he goes to Miami in let's say a contract where it looks like they're actually going to give him a chance, because that's important.
Let's say a slightly better contract than Justin Fields
Than the
got.
Fields
'Cause Justin
one, yeah.
Fields got we're gonna let you start for 1 year and maybe you can earn a second.
Right. And they did let him start. He just wasn't able to. So yeah, I'd say I'd throw him all the way up, man. Like QB 10-9 range, right? Like
Yeah.
at that point, and he'll be like the most fun person to talk about for redraft if that's the case. I can't wait to hear the debates on that.
Yeah, and I think he is like the Justin Fields thing, and the Anthony Richardson thing will cause people some pause because we boosted those guys up because of their upside, and then it didn't work. I think he's better as a passer than both those guys.
Better as a passer than both those guys.
And better, his pocket presence is much better.
I was going to say, more importantly than better as a passer, because I do think, like, if you just look at raw passing, you can probably maybe put Richardson does some fun stuff, but more importantly, just better as far as pocket presence goes, like you said, and as far as anticipation and understanding space post snap. That's really where he's much better than Fields at. And
if you had 20-55 in the episode when Dan first said anticipation, you won the pool.
Yeah.
I think most people
We're not going to talk quarterbacks and not talk about anticipatory throwing. That's just
most people had the first 6 minutes of the show, so it took longer than we expected. 3 quarterbacks here who are not in that. Well, maybe people would put Shedeur in the same group above, but 3 quarterbacks: Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa, Shedeur Sanders. Who is most likely to start 15+ games next year?
I think it's none, but if it's anyone, it's Kyler Murray.
I don't think we have enough quarterbacks for all 3 of those guys to just get left out.
I don't see any team that would start Tua or Sanders. So I just immediately rule them out. Sanders, I think I have the numbers here because I tweeted about it yesterday. Here they are. Yeah, it's going to be tough to find, but I did find it. Sanders this year through week 17 has a 4.02 yards per attempt. That's 37 of 38 quarterbacks, minus 4.7 completion percentage over expected, 37th, catchable throw rate, 38th, turnover worthy rate, 38th.
What was that 4.02?
That was ANYA, which I actually don't know what that is. It's not yards.
Adjusted net yards per attempt.
Yeah. So essentially he's just been god awful at playing the quarterback position, to be quite honest. I don't know what else to say. I didn't like him as a prospect coming out. I have no faith in him starting. I don't think any team will start him next year. Tua, I think, is probably worse if he's in Cleveland or if he's outside of any Mike McDaniel system. So I have no reason to believe anyone would start him next year. Kyler, I guess someone might start because he's at least athletic and makes good throws off platform, though he can't operate on schedule at all either. But someone will maybe give Kyler a chance. So let's go Kyler.
I'm just going to, and you always get in trouble doing this because it's such a hot topic, but I'm just going to offer a very small defense in favor of Shedeur Sanders.
Okay, that's fine.
Because for the season, he threw 190 passes. Dylan Gabriel threw 185 passes. Joe Flacco threw 160 passes on the Browns. Shedeur Sanders averaged 6.8 yards per pass attempt. Gabriel and Flacco both averaged 5.1 yards per pass attempt. The adjusted net yards per attempt, Gabriel was slightly better because he refused to take any chances at all and didn't throw very many interceptions.
Yeah.
Shedeur was actually better than Flacco in adjusted net yards per attempt, 3.14. Now his season-long stats are better because he got to play with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins for a few games.
Right.
And that helps. The reason I say all that is, this is the worst environment for a starting quarterback in the NFL.
I want to believe that because
maybe Tennessee's worse.
I want to believe that because the Flacco side of it. I don't want to believe that because I think Gabriel was an abomination to ever play at the NFL level personally.
Right.
So like eye test wise, Sanders looks a lot better than Gabriel, but like at the same time, as we look through the stats, it's not much. It's not really. Like, Cleveland probably is the worst environment. I think you're right. I hate using that as a qualifier for a reason that let me try to make
you didn't believe in him anyway, and that's fine.
And that's not why I don't want to believe in him now, because people can change my mind, and it's really important.
He did nothing to change anybody's mind this year.
That's really what I mean. If
but
you look at
I
those
am
numbers,
not sure, because there are smart football people who thought that he could be serviceable in the NFL.
Some people thought he should be the number 2 pick in the draft.
And I'm not sure with this situation, he necessarily gave them enough data to change their minds either.
I don't know how you could say he came anywhere close to doing that when we went over those numbers.
Well, but right. His number one wide receiver is Jerry Jeudy, and I've made the argument that Jerry Judy's maybe been the worst wide receiver in the NFL this year.
I mean, Jaxson Dart's number one receiver is Wandale Robinson, Darius Slayton, who drops up 3 passes a game.
Wandale Robinson's so much better than Jerry Jeudy at this stage of their careers, or at least this year. And it might be because Jerry Judy's just one of those, I don't want to go. I've been a big Jerry Jeudy supporter. He's had some great flashes in his career. I think he's very talented. And I'm not in any way trying to say that he's not giving his best effort. Certain players in the NFL seem to struggle more the worse things get around them. Whereas certain players are just, you got to be careful how you phrase these things. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Exactly what you're saying. And I think it's true. Even
I think it would be difficult to be a member of the Cleveland Browns offense. Now, Harold Fannin didn't seem to bother him. He's just awesome. Let's talk about Harold Fannin.
Oh, please.
Would you please rank the top 5 tight ends in Dynasty?
This is where it gets interesting because I know you're on my page of loving Harold Fannin, and we'll get into him. Let's just do the easy ones first, okay? The easy ones first for me are still somehow, and I was debating this before the show, but I'm still going Bowers over McBride, but it's Bowers McBride.
Me too. That's 1 and 2, and that's a tier of its own.
Then it gets really interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because I was just looking at this morning. There are 4 guys, or no, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys.
I think I could add a 6th, but I know
I could add a 6th too, and I'm looking at him, and I love his game. I'll see if it's the same 6. There are 5 guys, potentially 6, for those next 3 spots, and those players are Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, and see if you're on the same page. Tucker Kraft, Harold Fannin Jr., and then there was the other. Oh no, and Kyle Pitts. Was he in there for you?
Yeah.
Those are my 5. And then the 6th for me that I would say is maybe below, but I'm considering would be Oronde Gadsden because I absolutely loved his tape.
Did you leave LaPorta out?
I left LaPorta out, yes.
So I've got it. Well, first, wait a second.
And I know that's very.
You gave me 1 and 2, and then you told me the next 7 that are in consideration.
I have to now make my picks.
3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, I'm going to make my picks. 3, I'm sticking with my prior conviction, my film study I did, and his unbelievable end to the season and the trajectory of the quarterback he's playing with. Colston Loveland, my boy, number 3. 4, people like him more than I do, but I am going to put Tyler Warren still 4. I feel very iffy about that. And then 5, Tucker Kraft. I'm going 4 Kraft, 5 Warren. No, Heath. No, I'm going to be bold here. I'm going 4 Kraft, 5 Fannin over Warren. I'll do it. I don't care. Fannin looks so good on tape.
So I have it Bowers McBride tier break.
Yes.
Big tier break. Loveland, Fannin, Warren.
Okay.
I will say Loveland, Fannin, and Warren, and really probably Kraft and LaPorta and Gadsden and Pitts, who would be after them.
Yeah.
Those will probably change this offseason, especially those top 3. I said almost a year ago that I didn't really understand why Fannin wasn't in the same tier as Warren and Loveland.
And it was a great take by you.
I think, honestly, though, I shouldn't get that much credit for it. Like, if the guy is the greatest receiving tight end in NCAA history, and he's 20 years old, and he was awesome at 19 in college, then it should have just been more common sense.
But the fact he was overlooked. So it is still a great take.
But yeah, I think Loveland,
he was overlooked.
I think Kraft is one of the more difficult ones, and I rank him at 6.
Yeah.
Partially because I don't want to be too low on him. And partially because he was awesome last year.
Awesome.
But it's not really the type of profile that I generally love. Mm-hmm. Most guys aren't going to be 75 to 85 targets a season and be a top 5 tight end. And I don't think Kraft's ever going to have a 100 target season.
That's fair.
With Matt LaFleur, at least. And so that's kind of my hesitation, but he is George Kittle. Just like we're going to stop saying George Kittle light, and we're just going to say George Kittle. Because after the catch.
I'm glad
I'm
you
not,
said that. I'm
I'm
glad
not,
you said
I'm not
that.
talking about the rest of his
have
game.
a conniption here if we're going to talk, because George Kittle's just like 70,000 times better blocker than Tucker.
Right. But that doesn't
just in that aspect, yes. And that ability after the catch that we don't see from tight ends, really anyone. The only one who I've seen really display that kind of post catch burst acceleration outside of those two would be like at times in brief moments, Kyle Pitts this year, which is crazy to think about.
We got a little FOE in the chat. Always appreciate that. Loveland, Kraft, Phantom, because those are the guys I might have on my roster.
Nice. You got all three. Let's go, K-Crash. Let's go.
I will say, like somebody asked, is a LaPorta bounce back on deck?
I'm not a LaPorta guy.
I'm not sure you have to be a LaPorta guy. Like this was viewed as it was not really that exciting of a year, right?
For LaPorta?
When he was healthy.
Yeah.
He still averaged 12 fantasy points per game.
Yeah.
Like all these rookies still have to improve to get on Sam LaPorta's level. I think when LaPorta was averaging 14 as a rookie and we all thought he's going to regress and he did regress, I think it's kind of like my hot rookie of the year take is that I think it should probably just be Ashton Genty, but he can't win it because everybody's expectations were so high for him that they're disappointed in him. So he can't be the rookie. You can't have a disappointing rookie of the year. And I think that's kind of where some dynasty managers are with LaPorta. He's still one of the most likely guys, I think, to be a top 8 tight end in for the next 5 years.
I think that's fair to say that the floor aspect is definitely in a better spot with a player like LaPorta. I just think that ceiling is so capped in that Lions offense.
Well, I think the only reason it's not is because there's probably going to be 1 year in the next 3 where he scores 12 touchdowns because they just score a bunch of touchdowns, and each of those guys are going to have an outlandish year. Yeah, but that's kind of where we're at on the tight ends. Let's talk about the running backs. I only got one running back question for you today because we talked about that disappointment with Ashton Genty, and at various points throughout the season, and for some of the guys for the most of the season, it was disappointing. This is supposed to be a generational running back class, and we didn't quite get generational rookie production. Is there anything that happened in this year make you concerned that class wasn't quite as good as we thought?
Yeah, I saw this on the run. I thought this was the most interesting question. No, for me.
Okay.
The tape stands out. Players that really didn't pop this year that I think can take surprising jumps next year. Bill, a player who everyone's just written off. We got so much crap for him on Beyond the Box because Jacob was inexplicably high on him. How about the end of the year for Bill? He looked awesome, decisive running the football, explosive running the football, trending up. Few other players that I think had seasons we didn't love from rookie season, like Bashal Tutin, year 2 in Liam Cohen's system. I'm very excited about him. Thought he showed some good things on tape, had some injuries. So even the back end guys excite me. And then the top end guys, Marion Hampton, year 2, I'm going to be incredibly high on. I just am. The Chargers O-line completely collapsed last year. What are they going to do? What is Jim Harbaugh going to do first thing this offseason? It's going to be add more talent on the offensive line.
I'd say he's going to probably read 73 magazines that project the Chargers are going to win the Super Bowl next year.
That he'll probably do, and he'll probably find 73 more nice things to say about Justin Herbert, who I've never seen anybody love a player more than Harbaugh loves Herbert. But they're going to add to the O-line, so I'm really high on Hampton next year as long as they don't get another 70 injuries to their O-line next year, which hopefully won't happen. Genty is a player that's obvious, but like we know Genty was like hit behind the line of scrimmage on almost every run this year and still managed. What was it, like 1,010 or something like that?
He has over 1,200 yards from scrimmage and 10 touchdowns.
Like,
in this terribly disappointing rookie year.
Right. Like it's terribly disappointing season. Do people remember the the Clyde Edwards-Helaire rookie season? Like there are way worse rookie seasons.
We don't talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
We don't talk about that one anymore. But we haven't even mentioned the Chiefs yet on this pod.
What about Travion? And
then Travion is one that I'm always going to struggle with in fantasy. I struggled with this year. I had him ranked much lower than consensus because Vrabel offense, I just always think it'll be a multi-back offense.
Yeah. I think he is still somebody I'm very excited about because I love guys that can do great. What he can do. I think and it may be a similar thing with him and Bill.
Yep.
In that Bill's problem is all the things that we don't care about as fantasy football managers. All the things that he does when he doesn't have the ball in his hands.
Right.
And that didn't get better this year. Like and so he's got to do some work this offseason if he's going. It's not just as simple as he's going to hit next year because we saw he's really talented. He's got to earn the right to be on the field all the time. And we'll have to find out if he does that. Let's take our second break. When we come back, I've got a couple more questions for Dan. I will open it up. We may have like 2 or 3 minutes for your questions if you have some quick ones. Let's take a break.
This is European soccer's biggest stage. This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric.
Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
We are back. You do a show with Jacob Gibbs 24 hours a week. So I think I know how you're going to answer this next question, but it's one that everybody would have answered the other guy at the beginning of the year. So would you rather have Luther Burden or Odunze on your dynasty roster?
I saw this one in the rundown. This is the one I was most nervous about because I was insanely high on my profile for Odunze coming out of Washington. Love this film. But Burden was the one that was also the most intriguing film because it was so incomplete. They played him almost entirely in the slot at Mizzou. And I was just like, what can happen if he gets with the right coach? Well, guess what? He got the perfect coach in Ben Johnson. You can't have landed in a better spot as a skill player for fantasy. And as we're starting to see, there's a reason a lot of us were insanely high on Caleb Williams coming out. It's because of what he showed on tape this past week and the week before. So now we're pairing him to Caleb Williams moving forward. Moore's still under contract. So is Odunze. So it's a crowded spot, Loveland. Like it's a crowded situation from a skill talent standpoint. But I think you saw it too, Heath. Like just watching this last breakout game from Burden. Doesn't he move different, man? Like when he gets the ball in his hand, that explosive post catch ability, he moves different.
He's the kind of guy that you want to be too high on and then just be sad if it doesn't work out. Because there's some reasons it might not work out.
Right.
I think you hate talking about injury risk with players, but I think he's probably got an elevated injury risk compared to players his age. And I have these guys back to back. I don't know if you answered the question or not yet.
I was going to get to it. I think it as bold as it sounds, I have moved Burden ahead of him. Just their skill sets in fantasy. I trust that Burden's skill set a little bit more, slightly ahead. I'd say one spot is fair.
I wish he would have done more with Odunze on the field.
Right.
We can get in trouble when these guys succeed when the number one's out. And Odunze was the number one until he got hurt. And then the number one comes back.
Right. That's
and
fair.
So who's Caleb going to throw it to more next year? I'm just glad that we don't have to wait for Luther Burden to beat out Olamide Zaccheaus anymore. Because that was the most frustrating part of the start of the year. Speaking of frustrating, it was a frustrating start and a frustrating finish for Marvin Harrison Jr. Are you hopeful for a year 3 breakout?
Well, I did see, and I'll be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Marvin Harrison Jr. tape from his second season, from his 20. So I want to get to that. I have a lot of players this offseason I just want to watch tape on and see how it changes how I feel about them in Dynasty. I did see, though, Nate Tice, who I love his content, Football 101, 301, I think it is, for Yahoo Sports, be like, buy low on Harrison. So he watches tape of all these players. So that's why I want to see it. This is the type of player I love to buy. Like this is the asset I love buying on in Dynasty, Heath. When me with Pitts, like when everyone's completely off the player and no, he's terrible. Like I can't even. I've seen too much because like the recency bias and just disappointed them one year. Another manager gets. I love to buy, so it's a buy for me. But I want to watch the tape and figure out where he's at, and I still got to figure out like what they're doing Arizona because Petzing's gone, which is a bad thing, I think. Or I think he's going to be gone. I think they're going to fire Gannon and then they'll lose Petzing because their offensive coordinator. I think that's actually a really bad thing for McBride.
For sure.
It's quietly bad for McBride that no one's
unless he's replaced by Kevin Stefanski, who he learned from.
Yes, true.
Although I've already like inked in Kevin Stefanski to be the OC for the Raiders.
Ooh.
So Brock Bowers can have 200 targets.
Okay. I like that.
Who knows? Maybe the Browns will keep Stefanski.
Yeah, wow, that seems unlikely. But if not, go to Arizona. And I think McBride's so good, and he's proven me so wrong that he's gonna win no matter what and be great. But it's got to be good for Harrison. Like the system wasn't good for him. The quarterback situation, we don't know what's going to be in Arizona either. There's a lot of uncertainty there. So it's not a huge buy for me because I still think it could be a frustrating situation. And the fact of the matter is with Marvin Harrison Jr., like is always, I always say this about Dynasty and about evaluating rookies coming from the college to the NFL. There's always one unknown, and that major unknown is the speed of the college game as it translates to the speed of the NFL game. And I would say in Harrison's case, like the stat factor hasn't translated well. He never ran the 40 time heading into the NFL draft. He's just like, I'm Marvin Harrison Jr. You're going to take me one or whatever, and I don't need that on my, I don't need to run it. But he hasn't looked really fast at the NFL level. Would you agree with that? Like the speed hasn't been one aspect of his game that stood out at any point.
No, I don't think it has, which makes it all the more baffling that for a year and a half, they just wanted him to run as fast as he could down the sideline.
Yeah.
I do think he's looked a lot better on in breaking routes.
Right.
I do think he's still exceptionally talented. I'm more of a buyer than a seller on Harrison. I still have Marvin Harrison Jr. ahead of both Luther Burden and Rome Odunze for Dynasty. So I think we are hopeful for a year 3 breakout. And a guy that's in the same range as him, Brian Thomas Jr. I'm hopeful that he has a year 3 bounce back. I had, who says no if the Bills offer their 2026 second for Brian Thomas Jr.?
The Jaguars say no to that.
You think so?
Yeah.
They don't really seem to love him. They've got Jacoby Myers and Travis Hunter.
Second isn't as valuable. Like for a receiver that young,
2 seconds?
I think it would have to be at first, honestly.
First? Well, I think the Bills should probably do that.
Yeah.
I think that would.
I wonder if that's even a possibility. Jaguars have so many receivers now after re-signing Jacoby.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
They got Parker Washington. They've got Travis Hunter.
Hunter will be back. It's interesting. As far as Dynasty goes for Thomas, I'm definitely lower than I've ever been on him. It's been rough this year. Just watching him, the tape, the usage, now that he's back, the fact that like Trevor Lawrence is playing his best football while not throwing it to Brian Thomas Jr. and not involving him much in the offense. That's not a good sign. Like that's not something.
There's obviously not a connection there. Like people laughed at us so much for reminding people that all of Brian Thomas's breakout almost came with Mac Jones. Maybe Mac Jones gets traded and that team trades for Brian Thomas Jr.
You know where I want Mac Jones to get traded to, right? For fantasy.
Where? Minnesota.
Yep.
Yep.
Justin Jefferson's back. Addison's a thing. Just get him in that
what
system.
Would be a great combination is Mac Jones to the Browns, Brian Thomas Jr. to the Browns, Brian Thomas in that over-the-top role, Harold Fannin taking everything underneath.
Okay, that's another possibility.
I don't think
it's the direction we'll ever see them go, though. Like the Browns, they're just like, we're waiting. We're gonna keep. I think there's gonna keep piling on rookie quarterbacks. They're the Browns, but it's interesting. I like that idea.
This is the last question, and it probably sounds like the dumbest question anybody's ever heard.
All right,
but Quentin Johnston or Lad McConkey in Dynasty?
Is it the dumbest question anyone's ever heard? Like QJ's back and he's getting the ball again a lot. That's where that offense is going. I'll go Lad still because I want to think, Heath, that what we're seeing now from the Chargers is not what we're going to see in the future. I want to think back to the beginning of this year when everyone's like, oh, it's a hardball Roman offense. Don't buy Herbert. Don't buy any stock. They're going to be run heavy. They were super pass heavy to start the year. Their pass over expectation was super high, and they were awesome. It was the best version of offense they've been. And then they lost their left tackle. They lost their right tackle. They lost their backup left tackle. They lost their down to last week. They started Bobby Hart at left tackle. Heath, I want you to understand something about Bobby Hart since he was a pass giant. He started on like the 2016, 2017 Giants offensive lines and was the most hated player by the fan base for being so bad. It's now 8 years later. He hasn't made a start since 2022, and Justin Herbert is expected to play a game with him at left tackle. It's insane to me. And so I want to make sure that I'm not basing too much of my dynasty thoughts on this version of the Chargers offense, because this is not what's going to be moving forward. So
my problem with that, because you're right, and Lad McConkey hasn't topped 50 yards since November the 9th. So it's been an awful finish. But those first 5 weeks of the season, 5 weeks of the season, he had one game over 50 yards.
Right.
So
yeah.
He had basically a really good month this year and has just been miserable besides that. And the other thing people probably don't think about is that Lad McConkey and Quentin Johnston are both 24 years old.
Yeah.
I know it seems like.
Right. When he came out. Yeah. And QJ has really taken huge strides in his NFL career. I want to make that clear. He was a player I wasn't high on. We talked about him a bunch on this show. He looks a lot better. And that role is less crowded, right? Like he's a outside boundary receiver. He'll run the rail routes. Like McConkey has to, in the middle of the field, well, Keenan Allen probably won't be back, but he's still going to always have to mess with Gadsden. Gadsden's in the middle of that field, taking up some of those targets that McConkey would otherwise get. QJ, he's got his own thing going on the sideline. Right. Someone mentioned QJ is a free agent. I don't think that's true. I think he is.
I think he's on his rookie contract still, and I think he has 1 year left.
You think he has the 5th-year option still left? I want to just check that.
Did he not accept the 5th-year option? Do you have that choice?
Yeah, it's a club. No, next year he's just under contract, and then the 5th-year option will be 2027. So he's definitely not a free agent.
And I can't imagine they're not going to pick up that 5th-year option or sign him.
Yeah,
one of the two.
That up for sure. Yeah.
So I already went to longer than I promised Dan that I would, but we'll get one question from the chat because Dan's the people's champ. Wants to know the outlook on Terrence Ferguson, who I know you must love because you podcast with Jacob Gibbs all the time. AJ Barner, who I'm probably a little higher than consensus on, and Theo Johnson, who Adam Azer hates. So those 3 young tight ends, Ferguson, Barner, and Johnson, maybe just rank them.
Ferguson 1 for sure. It's not even close for me. Now, I will say this. I shouldn't say that because I am worried about post-Stafford Rams. Like, I know McVay's claiming he may hang around a little longer. He signed a contract, but if it gets ugly at quarterback, I don't know how long he's going to hang around. If it gets ugly at quarterback, and it's hard to find quarterbacks at the NFL level when you don't have one, Ferguson just falls off, and the whole thing falls off. But you still got to go with him 1 for me because he's by far, to me, the most talented of this group and has the most upside from a post-catch standpoint, from an explosive play standpoint, like across the board. It would be Theo 2 and Barner 3 for me.
So I've got it Theo, Barner, Ferguson right now. I want to get on the Ferguson. I mean, I do think he's very talented. I think he may be kind of like Bill, kind of like Travion. That
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
When he gets the ball, we love him. He doesn't get to play that much.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't do all the other things tight ends are supposed to do.
That's fair.
And so
fair concern. I can't forget about that in fantasy. It's not just about how cool they look on tape. They have to get opportunities.
And I think this is a good way to miss. Like I'll say this, Gibbs isn't here. I'll say it next time he's on. If he has helped dynasty managers and redraft managers so much this year, he's crushed so many takes. But if he's going to miss, it's going to be on guys who are super fun, super young, super exciting, but maybe just don't actually play football very well outside of 5 to 10 plays a game.
Right.
And those are probably the guys to miss on, because if they learn to do those football things, they become superstars.
True.
If they don't, they become unrestricted free agents.
Yeah. And it's a great, this is a longer conversation for another day, but it's a great 30,000-foot view on how to play fantasy, because he talks about this all the time, and so do I. Our mindset on fantasy is very clear. Like, we are playing to either win the league. We don't care if our other option is lose. Like, we're not playing for 7th place or 6th or 4th place. Like, so we're looking
win
for
the
upside.
League or losing the championship game.
You had to bring that back up.
Dan, you had this is, I think, in the years that we've worked together at CBS, I don't know that this is true, but from my perspective, it's been your best year as a fantasy manager. You really crushed it. You probably got a little unlucky in the number of finals that you lost, but you got there.
I still won 4. Yeah.
Right.
Won 4
and you got there in what, 8?
Yeah.
So
8 leagues. It was a great year.
Right. Yeah. Great year. Thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom with the FFT Dynasty crew.
I love being on the show, so thank you for having me.
Programming reminder, I'm heading out for a couple of weeks. There will be no FFT Dynasty for the next 2 weeks, but when I get back, we are going 2 times a week. We are going over the state of each position, a deep dive on quarterback, then running back, then wide receiver, then tight end. We'll have great guests. Then we'll start draft prep. It's going to be an awesome, awesome spring here at FFT Dynasty. Thank you to everybody, honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, for supporting this show. Smash the like button so we get to do more shows. Subscribe everywhere you can, and we get to do more shows. But you guys have helped make this little dream a reality for the last 3 years, and I'm looking forward to doing it for another year. Thank you to Debo for making everything work. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.